What is up and welcome in to the Easy Smoke and the GM podcast. I'm your host, Ezra McCann. I'm joined, as always, by my outstanding co-hosts. He's a Chicago Public League legend. He's a Simeon legend. He's a Grambling State legend. He played second base for the Tigers back in the day. He was all SWAC. It's Brandon Williams, a.k.a. Coach Smoke. And we've got our NFL draft expert, analyst, enthusiast. It's his time of year. The draft is coming. You can catch all his work, his mock draft stuff on NBCSportsChicago.com. You can catch him on the I missed the name of the damn show.
Football Night in Chicago.
Football Night in Chicago.
You can catch him. I work on the damn show. It's crazy. You can catch him on Football Night in Chicago. It's our GM, Glenn Morgan. Gentlemen, what's going on? How you guys doing? It's been a while. Glad to be back.
Glad to be back. A lot has happened since we've been gone.
Yeah,
lots happened. Lots happened.
Absolutely. Let's just get started. So we left, and the Bears, not a shock, but I was surprised that it happened as early as it did. And one Glenn Morgan called it. The Bears traded that number one pick to the Carolina Panthers for the 9th overall pick, number 61.
61
in this year's draft, second round pick. They also got first rounder in 2024 and a second rounder in 2025.
2025.
Right. And the big one, we got a wide receiver number one in DJ Moore. So what'd you guys think of the trade when it first went down?
I thought, give me my goddamn flowers and get off of my jack. Get your hands out my pocket. Trying to call me out like I don't know what the hell I'm thinking and talking about. That's what I initially thought.
You did. You called it on the Football After Show. There is proof of that.
Oh, and also, by the way, I know we're getting a little bit ahead I'm beginning a little bit ahead when we jump into free agency and we can jump back in. But the other two cats were calling for Orlando Brown to be the left tackle for the Bears. I said, no.
I didn't call for it.
I did.
No, not you guys. Not you guys. On Football Night in Chicago.
Okay.
Yeah, my counterpart, Josh Rock, as far as the mock draft going, and the host of the show that day, one Mark Carmen, were saying, "Oh, give me Orlando Brown. Make Orlando Brown a left tackle." I'm like, no, that doesn't fit Poles as a way of how he looks at left tackles.
We can talk about that. We can talk about that.
I'm just saying. So
we can talk about that later because I have something to say about that. But
hey, you asked how I felt. I felt like
trade.
Right. And I mean, and keep in mind, initially I said that for the Bears to make two trades, to trade down twice.
Right.
Not for me, I was saying trade down to the Colts and from the Colts to the Panthers. But as it turns out, and David Kaplan talked about it earlier, I believe, on AM 1000, that kind of almost did happen. It was two teams, but it wasn't the Colts. It was initially going to be with Houston, and then from Houston down to the Panthers. But the Panthers were like, no, screw that. Don't let Houston get anything. What do you want? And basically, Poles was like, I want one of three people have to be in this deal. I'm going to make it straight with you. And it was Brian Burns,
J.C.
Horn, and the aforementioned DJ Moore. And so that's how that happened. And the receiver was something Poles. And remember, we talked about it before. Poles was really looking at DJ Moore last year, ended up settling on Claypool. So now he has both. And draft picks.
Right.
So well done, Mr. Poles. But man, that was a big news, and that got the ball rolling, for everything NFL wise right before free agency. And as it turns out, pretty significant for the Bears because it really helped put things in place for them and where they wanted to go and launch themselves once free agency began. And it also put the rest of the league on notice, like, okay, if we want to do something, we got to start making moves. And then you start to see some inertia, you start to see the Jets make more of a move, more of a, overt move to get one Aaron Rodgers. And it put a little more emphasis on pro day. And if anybody can screw up a pro day, Jalen Carter, defensive tackle from Georgia, found a way to do that. And that too may affect, where the Bears go forward, because it looked as though that might be somebody that may not be available at 9 for the Bears, but that pro day, he's dropping like a rock to some degree, and he may find himself in Chicago. Hey, maybe Poles got in his ear and said, "Hey, man, gain some weight, do nothing. I'll take you at 9."
Okay, a pro day.
Pro day.
I've somewhat been a part of that when I was at Hampton. A pro day is not like a typical practice where you're getting reps to somewhat get in shape.
Mm-hmm.
It's just drills. There's no way you should be winded in a four-corner drill.
Scripted drills, right?
You shouldn't be. That was unreal to me. And this is a part of this is your interview.
Right.
You don't have to do this really ever again in life, but you got to be prepared for this one. And he wasn't. That's huge red flags for me with Jalen Carter. You know how much I wanted Jalen Carter to start off. Huge red flags there.
Yeah, on top of everything, prior to the combine, or on the day of the combine, that we found what had happened.
Yeah, we're not even talking about that. I'm just talking about being in shape.
No doubt. I'm co-signing with your red flags. Like there was already an issue, and it was well publicized. We knew it. So the combine was a no-go, and then you come 2 weeks later, roughly, and you put on 9 pounds and can't finish it. And like you said, the pro day is kind of like an interview. It really is, because it's not so much what you do at the pro day, especially if you're not even like a quarterback, like if you're a lineman or a defensive, on either side of the line or what have you. Really just kind of want to see, but it gives these teams and their front office people an opportunity to be around your coaches, be around your family, potentially be around your classmates, be around people who can give more insight as to who and how you are. It gives you a chance to maybe even take these guys to dinner, find out more about them, whatever the case may be. And he kind of shit the bed on that one because
you do some cone drills, you run a couple 40s, you do some
well, he did a couple 40s.
Yeah, right.
You do some bag drills, some D-line, pass rush drills. That's it. That's a pro day.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be tired. Shouldn't be winded from that. No. And he couldn't even complete it.
Yeah, that it's crazy, because I mean, like, there have been many stories of, especially quarterbacks, but players who had kind of crappy pro day. I mean, even Peyton Manning had a crappy pro day, the ball hitting the ground a couple of times, so on and so forth. But like I said, it's not so much the drills per se, but it really gives them a chance to be around, an environment that can help them understand more about who they're drafting, as opposed to what you can do. Because what you can do is already on film, throwing the ball in the air, hitting bags that don't hit back, boards don't hit back, bags don't hit back, Bruce Lee reference, if y'all didn't catch that. It's
way over my head.
Oh man, it's really God, but y'all so really, it's Bruce Lee, man. Enter the Dragon.
I knew it.
God, thank you.
I actually knew that one.
Okay. Whew. All right. Anyway. So what do we do now? That's the question. What do the Bears do? And you really have to start looking at the way the draft is lining itself. You got to figure the first 2 picks are going to be quarterbacks, whether it's Young and Stroud or Stroud and Young. The Cardinals really sit in the bird seat. No, he won't be 1 or 2. That's not going to happen.
I thought Carolina was looking at him.
Yeah, you're right. Just like the Bears were thinking about maybe drafting a quarterback. Yeah, no, it ain't happening. So you position yourself at once. You don't have to settle for Richardson. That's what that was about. And so at 3, the Cardinals are sitting really in the catbird seat, because now, do the Colts trade up? Do the Raiders maybe trade up? I doubt if they do, since they signed Garoppolo. But do the Bucks make a play? Do the Titans make a play? Do the Commanders make a play? How much are they willing to give up? And the Cardinals sitting in the spot, just to the Colts, and the Colts move up from 4 to 3, and the Cardinals drop to 4. Does someone want Richardson? there's another team that could trade with them. I mean, the Cardinals could do what the Bears didn't do and trade down twice. Maybe don't get a great haul, but they're clearly in a rebuilding situation. Do the Cardinals take a quarterback? Kyler Murray hasn't really set the world on fire. He's extremely talented.
A new contract.
Yeah, but they just signed him for $250 million.
Just got a new contract.
I get it. I'm just conjecture. but he is coming off of serious knee injury as well. I mean, so I think he signed that contract before he had the knee injury. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and it's a new regime. Yeah. New general manager, new head coach, not their guy. I mean, we heard all about Justin. Justin wasn't even coming off of an injury.
Oh, man.
So, and I know the contract is significant, but again, it's not like it's a Deshaun Watson contract. So anyway, point being, Cardinals have something to do going forward. We'll have something to say about, where their position, who positions themselves possibly with their draft spot at number 3. And then Seattle. And, talking about the, football night in Chicago, I was catching flack for saying that Seattle, who had just signed Geno Smith to a 3-year contract, which in essence is really like a 1-year contract if you really look at the details, but they just signed Geno. And I'm like, Anthony Richardson to Seattle. Mel Kiper comes out with his draft thing, and guess what he's saying? Same thing, Anthony Richardson to Seattle, because it makes a lot of sense in a lot of ways. So the quarterbacks are still going to dictate this draft. But then after that, I'm looking at it, and as certain and as comfortable as I felt 2 weeks ago, I'm scratching my head now, man, because free agency happened. And when free agency happened, a lot of teams addressed a lot of needs. So for first round picks, that changes a lot as far as where a team may go. And here we are now in free agency. So what do you cats think about all this?
Well, when the trade went down, I was at work. I know exactly what I was doing. I was at work watching Speak while at work. And the funny thing about it, they were just talking about Lamar Jackson and talking about the team they think would be a good fit for him. And Shady brought up the Carolina Panthers. And one of the main reasons was because they have a number 1 receiver in DJ Moore, something that Lamar didn't have in Baltimore.
Right.
So I'm like, okay. I'm like, I'm listening, I'm all into it, and then they about to go to commercial, and Acho, oh man, we got to go to break, but just got breaking news. The Carolina Panthers has just traded for the number 1 pick with the Chicago Bears. So before we'll go into details. I got off, went to Twitter. So first thing I see is the trade.
Right.
And I see, okay, we got the number 9 pick. And I see the number 61. And I see the round 1 for 2024. And I see the round 1 for 2025. I mean, round 2 for 2025. And I'm kind of like, okay. And I hadn't scrolled up enough to see the DJ Moore. So when I scrolled up and saw DJ Moore, I scared the hell out of all the kids that was in the gym with me. And that's what I was ecstatic. Like, oh, we got DJ Moore. Because like you say, I knew that was an option for us during the season.
Right.
And so I'm like, oh, we got DJ Moore. And, I was just excited. I actually thought, because I watched, the football after show with you on it, I actually thought they were going, I knew 9 was the threshold. I'll say that.
Right.
But I thought they would make 2 moves to get to 9.
Sure.
I didn't know if they would necessarily get straight to 9, but we did touch on that in the past when we brought up the fact that Frank Wright may not want to let the Colts trade with us first. And so it was like, I knew 9 was going to be possible. I just thought we would make 2 moves. Hey, and I'm perfectly fine with what we got, and of course free agency happened after, we're going to talk about that more, but I like what Foles did. I think the 2024 first round pick is huge. That was the main thing in my eyes that I wanted I love the DJ Moore acquisition. But my main thing was if we make a trade, we gotta get a first next year. Because it's so many options at that point. If Justin somehow does not show, we got leverage to get another quarterback. Right. If Justin somehow do what we hope he do and have a great year, we can go get Marvin Harrison Jr. You get what I'm saying? Right. So we got options. Like it's I think he knocked it out the park. I know people trying to say who fleeced who when it comes to the trade and all that, but
I think it was a good trade.
I think both teams got what they, got something good out the trade. I feel like Carolina did some really good things free agency, in my opinion, to support the quarterback that they're going to draft, and the Bears has a lot of capital, a lot of draft capital and we had the money to spend in free agency. So I think both teams did good in this situation in my eyes.
Yeah,
especially for them to come from 9 to 1. I think they did good. So I was ecstatic by it. Got me thirsty for baseball for football season, man.
I was when I first heard about it, somebody told me, what you think about the trade? And this is like a minute after, it became public. So I was like, what trade? What are you talking about? The Bears traded the #1 pick. I was like, no, they didn't. Like, that happened.
Right. Don't believe it at first. Like,
So I said, well, who'd they trade to? It's like down to Carolina. And so how I've been all in about Jalen Carter, obviously until that pro day. But so my thing was I wanted them to either trade down to 2 or to 4 with the Colts so that you get some trade capital and you still get that blue chip player.
Right.
And so I was like, I don't know. This is before I knew what was in the trade, what was involved in the trade. So I look at it and I say, okay, so they swapped down the 9. They get a this year's second round pick. All right. They get a first round pick next year. Huh. Okay.
That was me.
Second round pick in 2025. Oh, all right. And then DJ Moore. And that was that at that point, I was like, wait a minute. That's a damn good trade. That is so early. I was like, oh my God, that's huge. So at that point, I was pumped up like Smoke, you said, ready for football season. But I was like, oh, okay, this is the move right here. Okay, I get it. Poles is kicking ass, man. So I was very happy with the return that the Bears got for that #1 pick. Yeah, they did some big things. DJ Moore, you got to get a weapon for Justin Fields. Yeah, I almost said Jalen Carter again. For Justin Fields, they got that. They got them a #1. This receiving room is pretty much set at this point. So happy about that, and they could worry about some other things once free agency started. So I thought it was a heck of a move. Then we went into free agency, and they started off with getting TJ Edwards, linebacker from Philadelphia, hometown guy. Yeah, wanted to be here. Was pumped up about being here. Then right after that, they announced Tremaine Edmonds from Buffalo, and I was like, "Wait a minute,
for real?"
I thought linebacker wasn't a huge deal.
Oh no, it's a need.
But after Roquan. But I looked at that and I was like, well, they got Tremaine Edwards. They basically got their Urlacher and Briggs for this defense.
Right. That's a linebacker from the same draft class as Roquan, but younger.
Right.
Yeah.
And bigger.
I didn't realize he's 6'5".
Yeah. And longer. He's got real long arms as well. So yeah. I actually was pumped for the Bears to take him that draft class. They took Roquan. I was like, okay, that's cool. But I really liked Edmonds because of his length. size and his youth. I mean, I think he was just like he was very young. I think I think he was.
He's 24.
Yeah, I think he was
right?
19. Yeah, he was 19 when the draft happened, but he just, how his age fell and how he did in school and all that stuff. But and all that comes from a family of football players, NFL football players as well. So a guy who kind of understands what it's all about. And that's someone that you would typically have to be concerned about in terms of being motivated, understanding, blah, blah, blah. But you're right with that, with what you said is as far, and you too be, as far as the wide receiver room being starting to form into something, because DJ instantly slots everybody in a position, well, not just down, but slots everybody in a position where they can be most effective. Kind of like how if we had Lonzo Ball with the Bulls, everybody kind of gets slotted into a better role to where they can do what they do and be better at it. So DJ being a primary target, being that lead dog, so to speak. Now Claypool doesn't have to be the guy. All that pressure on him to have to be the number one dude isn't there. He'd be number two, and he's matched up against usually more times than not the second or third best cornerback out there, and utilize his athleticism. And then you can put or it could be Mooney as well, and you put Claypool in the slot, and now he's a beast. Now it's like, how do you contend with that dude? He's a matchup. That way you're
nightmare.
Matchup nightmare, and your wide receiver situation, you have leverage, against the defense, because if it's a smaller cornerback, he's going to eat him alive. If it's a linebacker, he's going to get past him, so on and so forth. He is very difficult to contend with. Or you put Mooney there, and now you have an accomplished guy who can clearly get off press coverage when he's on the boundary. Now he's in the slot, ain't nobody touching him. But it gives him time to not have to be the main target, especially since he's coming off of ankle surgery as well. So he can round into form a little bit better. And then now you can start slotting in other guys, to kind of be the backups or the guys to be the swing positions. But in all actuality, all three of those guys, be it Moore, Mooney, or Claypool, they have alignment versatility. So you can interchange those guys all across the way, and you're not really losing anything, because each one of them has been, interior and exterior receivers. So I really like the versatility that wide receiver room has going forward.
I love, and I guess it's not getting really talked about much. I like the addition of Tunyon.
Oh, no doubt. We're going to get there.
We're getting there. Yeah.
To do in free agency, I'd almost say he killed it as well as he did with the trade down, because his two signings of the defensive line guys were really good. You got a guy.
We got two D line. We got Billings and we got
DeMarcus Walker.
Right.
So you got two interior, defensive guys that fit a certain role. One guy can be more the interior pass rush. Other guy can be more the interior run stuffer, so to speak. But they both offer an ability to do both well. So now you just have to kind of focus on your edge guys, so to speak. And then the running back getting Foreman from Carolina, going back to the Carolina tap and getting another running back. So we let Montgomery walk in. Hey, we've talked about it. We've chronicled on our show. I've never been a big Montgomery guy. I don't hate him. I wasn't crazy about him. It's like
he grew on me. He grew on me, but
he just didn't like that he couldn't run past 5 yards.
We were the same. He grew on me, but I ain't heard that he gone.
Yeah, no, I'm like, dude, nice cat, respect him, all that stuff. But that dude ran in a phone booth, as opposed to running outside the phone booth and going somewhere. You kept hearing that he makes everybody miss. I'm like, because he can't see the hole. He keeps having to dodge everybody. But I mean, he ain't running away from anybody. So now Foreman, a little bigger, has shown throughout his time in NFL that he can run past 20 yards. More. And I just like, and it puts Khalil Herbert in a position again where he can be more effective. I don't think Khalil is necessarily a lead back, but I think he's a very effective back. And I think so right now that's solidified itself. And again, Nate Davis. Oh man, that was a great interior guard from Buffalo. And all the guys,
Tennessee.
Tennessee, excuse me, Tennessee. All the guys, thank you. All the guys, former teammates saying like, "Man, you got a dog. Like you got a real deal, right?" So now, it gives you an opportunity that if you don't draft a center, like you keep Tevin, maybe move Tevin over to left guard, but you put Whitehair back at center. He has played center, and he's probably been better at center than some of the ones we had that were there to be centers. So now you got three really good interior offensive linemen who can move, and when you have a mobile quarterback like what we have, that gives you an opportunity to do a lot of things, man, whether you read option type stuff, traps, pulls, all these types of things, man, screens. So I really like how this is forming up. And like you said, the addition of Tunyon, now you can do double tight end sets, or if one guy gets hurt, the other guy's there. You've got depth there. It's just a 1-year deal, so if it doesn't work out, you're not tied in anything long term. He's really doing a good job. So it makes that 9th pick start to really formulate into what we think it could and maybe should be. Left tackle screams out at you right there. That left tackle, maybe edge rusher if Tyree Wilson falls. You can feel that if that is a possibility. But it also, aside from screaming left tackle, it also says, well, you're in a position for best player available. And we should be okay with that because a lot of other things have been addressed and we have a lot more draft capital. So if we get best player available, it's not like you can't still get a left tackle in the 2nd round. You still got 2 2nd-round picks now. It's not like you can't get an edge rusher because there's a lot of them in this draft. So it gives you a little more latitude with what you decide to do. I want to throw something out at you guys after you think about it, but I gotta in my mind's eye, someone
best player available.
Oh man, dude, I'm talking myself into it.
Is it a skill position?
No.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
No. But no. Hey, I'm cool if Quentin Johnston's there and you get him. I'm not tripping.
I was thinking JSN me. For some reason, Quentin Johnston gives me Kevin White vibes. I just can't get off of it. He gives me Kevin White vibes.
Okay, fair enough.
I've tried to watch him and love him. Mm-hmm. But I'm like, he looks like Kevin White to me.
He's bigger.
Is he? Or is he just taller?
Yeah, well, he's taller. I think he's got some good size to him. He reminds me more of Michael Williams than Kevin White. But I get what you're saying. 1-year wonder is what you're saying for the most part.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, go ahead. Who you?
You sure? I mean, I'm not trying to monopolize here.
Go for it. Go for it.
All right, dude. I'm thinking, and I got a position. Like this is what I call this. I call it a new position, or I call it a position of significance. A positionless disruptor. That's who they should go for. Person who the quarterback is like, where the fuck is he? Why is he there? And what are we going to do about him being there?
Sound like a Micah Parsons type.
Not as big as Micah, but he's a 2-time national champion, and he's been known.
I think I know you're talking about.
Mm-hmm. Been known
because it ain't what's the name? Nolan Smith.
Yes, sir.
I'm trying to understand why isn't he getting more pub?
I don't know either. Because
I'm really trying to understand that.
He's 6'2". He's scraping 6'2". If he was 6'4", I think he'd be top 10, without a doubt. Now Nolan had a pectoral injury around October 29th of this year towards the end of the regular season, so he did not play the rest of the season. But he did get ready for the combine, and he knocked it out of the park. 4.39. He's about 6'2", 235-ish, 238-ish. And 41.5-inch vertical, quick as all get out. But more importantly, he's shown on tape over the 2 years of significance for the Georgia 2-time national championship team that he is like one of those straws that stirs the drink. And you ask all his teammates, and they're like, they look to him. Even the guys that are already in the pros now, when they were on Georgia, they were like, well, yeah, man, Nolan, you hear that a lot. And I saw this interview of him with him right after, at the combine, but he had done his drills, and the charisma, the enthusiasm, the teammate oriented aspect of how he spoke. But all those are intangibles on the field. Like I said, positionless disruptor. Think about it. This dude is played because his position, sometimes when you look at it, is edge linebacker. Now, I don't think he's big enough to be an edge every single down. I think that would wear him down. He'd be less effective, but he can play the edge, and he can hold. He's quick enough and gets enough leverage. He can hold the point of attack if you try to run at him. But you can put this guy anywhere on the field. You can put him in a nickel slot. He's that athletic. He can cover wide receivers underneath. He can go out into the flat. He can to cover, running backs out in the flat. He can cover them on wheel routes. He's big enough to cover tight ends. He's quick enough to handle them so that they, even the move tight ends at the pits of the world, he can check with those cats. He had to do it. We see them do it. He was doing it down in Georgia when they were playing Florida. And you can align him anywhere. You can put him in a nickel. You can put him even in our 4-3 scheme. You can put him outside as an outside linebacker or a particular play or so. You can put him on the edge. And he can, like I said, he can blitz. You don't know if he's dropping into coverage. You don't know if he is, blitzing. You don't know if he's stringing out the run. You just don't know where he is. And in any one, in 3 plays, in any particular situation where you have 3 downs, he can be in a different spot every down. And if I'm a quarterback, I'm like, why is he there? What is he doing? Is he coming at me? Is he dropping into coverage? Is he the mic? Is he not the mic? I mean, what is going on with him? And he is such a unique player, and there's those types of unique players that really can give the defense leverage against the offense. And it's all about that. If you ask, in my opinion, when it comes to football, especially nowadays, it's all about how can I have something over on you where you gotta conform to what I'm doing. So I'm really intrigued by him. I'm not saying you should do it, and I'm not saying that that you have to do it, but I'm saying if you choose to do it and you're creative enough on defense, I get it, and let's go for it.
Are you taking him at 9, or are you going to try to trade down?
I would prefer to trade down, but when you start trading down, you don't know what can happen. In most draft spots, you see him. I think I had him like at 18 on the last thing I did, but most spots you see him probably between 20 to 25, going to like the Lions or with their second round pick. With their first round pick, excuse me.
That's why we don't want him to go.
Right. Yeah. That's the other thing too. It's like, well, I don't want a team, because you could trade down and then a team might trade up to get him, because he becomes that. I think the more the picks start happening, the more him being the best player available becomes obvious. Mm-hmm. And yeah, 9's a little high. I get that. But I think the Bears can do that because they have the draft capital. It may not be an additional first round pick, but you got 2 second round picks. You have other picks that you can kind of still get what you need. And you don't necessarily have to have a first round offensive tackle to be good or great. You look at some of those Dallas Cowboys front lines, especially the one back when Edmonton were running. I don't think any of those guys were first round picks. So, and our general manager is a former offensive tackle. So I would like to think if anybody has an eye on when it comes to tackles and who can be good, and if I don't have the most obvious great one, I still know how to get a good one, I would think it'd be this guy. Even Braxton Jones, as much as we were like, okay, he's not so much a left tackle, he still showed to be, he wasn't bad. He was just inexperienced, little in over his head, but we're not saying kick him off the line. We're just saying get a left tackle and put him over the right tackle. You know what I'm saying? So there's enough tackles in this draft that you can get one high in the second round, in the first half of the second round. I just think that that's a possibility. I'm just throwing it out there because it's the same reason why Anthony Richardson is shooting up the boards, because he's such a unicorn. I think Nolan Smith, as you see this draft happen, he becomes that best player available type situation.
I think Nolan Smith being more of a unicorn is more of a realistic pick than Anthony Richardson. I'm just saying. I don't care how high my quarterback jumps, just being honest.
But that's not why he's such a unicorn, though.
I know.
I
I'm
don't know.
just
He
saying.
might be able, if he scores a touchdown, he might be able to dunk on the
Fly over
goalpost.
the
Yeah,
dunk on the goalpost. Okay,
yeah,
Hey,
yeah.
but
That's a big deal.
jump over the line at the goal line.
yeah, don't do what Tyler Huntley. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, actually get there. But I've actually been liking Nolan Smith also.
Okay.
Like I just been trying to understand why isn't he getting more talk about. I didn't know his measurables. I guess that might be why. But I'm like, this dude, and I get it. Like on the sideline, he looked like a really nice kid. You know, he have his glasses on, look like he's probably a 4.0 student. You know, like, but then you see him in game, he's a monster.
Yeah, he's got
And
hands. He can
it's
take off.
like, man, I'm like, why isn't this dude? And so I'm like, what was his injury? Pectoral. That ain't major. Like, I'm
No.
like, oh, well, so yeah, I would like that pick. I would. I get what you, because I was thinking maybe they trade down again, you know, but I don't know. We put ourselves in good position. I know I was wondering, you know, how you all were gonna feel about the free agency because I'm like, polls has shown like nobody's gonna force him to do anything here.
Right.
No, no.
He ain't overpaying guys. And I kept saying, like, with the amount of money we got, we're gonna overpay at least two or three
Yeah.
guys. And he is like, no,
Yeah, not so much.
like,
Uh, who was it? McGlinchey.
McGlinchey. Yeah.
McGlinchey. Yeah,
Like
yeah.
McGlinchey.
He was the first one to go, and I was like, okay.
mhm.
Didn't overpay him. That's cool. So I automatically thought Orlando Brown was on the way, and
But
no,
what gave me cause to pause there though was the fact that we went 2 days or 3 days before Orlando Brown was actually
yeah,
taken off the board. So I'm like, well, shoot, Foles ain't the only one that's like, nah, ain't. They say the value. He's not a left tackle. He wants to get paid like a left tackle, right?
Sure. Yeah. Who doesn't?
But
well,
they say
well,
he's
he doesn't want to play right tackle, and he played left tackle in Kansas City.
Because you get paid better as a left tackle.
Absolutely, I get that. I get that.
And that's why the Bengals left tackle was pissed. Because now they talk about kicking him over the right tackle. You know, whoa, he getting my
he
money.
asked for a trade.
Yeah, hold on, he getting my money.
But yeah, I left tackle was such a huge need, and I feel like I'm one that believes that it takes 3 to 4 years to develop. I don't care how highly touted of a prospect you were. It takes 3 to 4 to become that dude.
Unless you're Joe Thomas.
True that. He's a Hall of Famer though. I thought that they would have gone in this free agency period to get that left tackle. He didn't, and obviously he's knows something that I don't know. He feels that he's going to be able to get that guy in the draft. So I'm in Ryan Poles we trust here.
So far,
yeah. But I would have splashed to get Orlando Brown at that left tackle spot. And this whole thing about he doesn't, Ryan Poles said that he didn't really fit their scheme. I don't think I really ever heard that before. An offensive lineman is an offensive lineman.
Read between the lines, bro. You know what he's saying.
I get that. I'm just saying though, there were people out there that were talking about the scheme. No, an offensive line, run blocking, pass blocking. I don't care what you're running. If you're a good offensive lineman, you can play at any offense.
If your athleticism is affected by your weight and your attitude, there may be things within that you don't fit.
Man,
what you don't fit what we're looking for. So it's a nice way of saying that is you don't fit our scheme. That's how I read it.
The Kansas City Chiefs Man, posted a montage on Twitter. Like, good luck, Joe Burrow.
Because dude had like 20. He gave up 22 pressures, I think, right? This season, he gave up like an obscene amount of pressures for a front line for a frontline elite left tackle. And he showed better during the playoffs, but keep in mind it's Mr. Mahomes. He can make a lot of people look better than what they are.
That's why I'm not too upset about it. Now I am shocked. GM, that I thought that Johnson from Ohio State would have been your guy.
Paris Johnson.
Paris
Jr.
Johnson, yeah.
Well, I like him too. I really do. I tell you that the two offensive tackles or left tackles that I like in this draft are Johnson and Broderick Jones. I just thought that because Garoppolo was signed and he has had injury issues that maybe
they'll be gone probably.
That the Raiders may target Paris Johnson. And I think going forward, I can't remember off the top of my head, I might be wrong, that one of their tackles might be a free agent next year. I think that's another reason why I was like, if you get Paris Johnson now, you don't have to worry about that going forward. And Paris Johnson also has alignment versatility. He's played both tackles, but he also played inside earlier in his career at Ohio State.
Right.
Yeah. So for a year, he could, kind of understudy on the line and then kick out to left tackle. So it made a lot of sense to me that he may be gone there at that spot. And at 7, that's not a bad spot to take Paris Johnson at all. He'd be the first non-quarterback offensive player off the board. So that's why I thought, again, left tackle, this is going back a couple of weeks when I had the Bears at 9, that they would probably take Broderick Jones over Skoronski, because Skoronski is well documented how short his arms are, comparatively for that position. And as I said to you, I know it's just one play, but I just did not like the way.
Wait, you know what? I haven't seen that play yet.
I like the way Luke Van Ness abused him. I just didn't. It looked like Stuart Scott on that thing where he's blocking the kids' basketball. It was just like, get out of here, So, and Broderick Jones, as opposed to Orlando Pace, for two main reasons. One, an athletic freak, again, with stupid upside. His recovery, even when he's gotten beat, his ability to recover and get back and still keep the defender away. His length, his athleticism to be able to get out and do a lot of different things. You have a mobile quarterback like Justin, I thought would be key. The other reason is his cost control. You'd have a guy, that you'd be able to fiscally have some cost leverage if you're the Bears organization for the next 4 years without even worrying about it. So as opposed to someone like Orlando Brown, who's going to cost you a lot of money and you're going to be stuck into some less favorable options, potentially at least for a couple of years, dead cap money, so on and so forth. You don't have to worry about that if you draft that left tackle like Broderick Jones with that upside. So that's why I was really focused on him. But I like Paris. I think Paris's floor is the highest right now. I think he's technically more experienced than Broderick Jones, and he's just as big. His arm length is ridiculous. I think he's got 36.5-inch arms. His hand size, I think, is like, Jesus Christ, dude, he got obliterated.
Who is that?
Skoronski.
Oh my God. Quarterback didn't have a chance. Oh, Jesus Christ. No, I cannot have a guy. It's like 5 yards, man. I can't have a guy.
Glenn, you're right. One play just changed my mind on Peter Skoronski. Oh my God.
That's what I'm saying, dude.
That's tough.
It was that significant of a one play. Like I'd never. It's almost like Jadeveon Clowney, like how he became the number 1 pick in the draft off that one play. It seemed like,
and
oh my God! And
I'm trying to see for you guys can't see this, but this is Van Ness.
He was
on
Iowa
his heels going up against Peter
a little
Skoronski.
bit, dude. But you shouldn't be going. I've seen people on the heels get pushed back, not off the effing ground 5 yards. And then the quarterback still gets sacked. I mean, did he get rid of the ball? No, he got rid of it. He got rid of it, but it didn't go anywhere. It was nowhere near the target. And that's a guy who doesn't start who did that to him. That was just bad, dude.
But I feel like Skoronski was trying to. I guess he felt that there was going to be a blitz. No, I can't play devil's advocate. He just got blown up, man.
He got destroyed. Yeah, it looked bad. Yeah. And his short little arms couldn't get up there quick enough to stop that abuse. But if anybody wants to know, it's Northwestern, Iowa at Northwestern this season. If you want to look at that on YouTube and laugh along with us. So yeah, but I like Paris Johnson a lot, dude. I like, dude, to me, it's a safe, sound, sensible pick, and there's zero wrong with that. And and he's athletic too. He's not as athletic as Broderick, but it's just a smidge below, you know. And he's a highly intelligent young man as well. So I think that's going to appeal to Pace too. Being a Boston College offensive lineman, those guys have been renowned for their intellect, so to speak. But I think, you know, he's the kind of player, personality-wise, that would fit in with the locker room. I think it's a kind of quality type of mental approach to the game, and those kind of quiet leadership abilities. I think a lot of those things are going to appeal to Poles, and he probably, if he does take him, I'm sure you'll hear him comment on those things, you know, a lot during the press conference part of it. But I say because Poles has also shown I will take the best player available, because he took 2 defensive players last year with the first 2 picks. We didn't have a first pick until the second round, and he took 2 defensive players at the same area as far as defensive backfield, and those were good picks. So I'm just saying.
I forget. I saw one mock draft that possibly had the Bears taking the DB from Illinois.
I saw
Devin
that
Witherspoon.
Yeah.
No, I saw them taking a DB from, what's the top DB?
Right now, arguably, is Christian Gonzalez.
Gonzalez, yeah.
He's a top DB athletically, but he's not the top DB, bro. He's not as good as Witherspoon in terms of technique and stuff.
I think I'd be upset if they went DB again.
I would
with the first round pick,
because there's a lot of them in this draft. If you need a DB, and
even if it is best player available at that point, I don't want to do that.
Not that position, no. You can get a guy you can get one of the guys from Maryland in the second round, one of those guys that ran a 4.3 whatever, or if Keely Ringo for whatever reason keeps dropping. There's a lot of guys you could get at corner that could come in and if not start, be significant player going forward. Now you really need to get that left tackle sewn up, or an edge rusher with some versatility, and like Nolan to me. Now, keep in mind, Frank Clark is still out there, I believe. I don't think he's been signed yet, and I would not be shocked if he does wind up a Chicago Bear.
All right, moving on. Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
Still no bites at the apple yet from any team right now.
Yeah.
We were having a little discussion before we started. You guys say it's not collusion.
I'd say it's not definitively conclusive.
Right.
I'd say it's not definitively a conclusive that you can conclude that it's collusion. If I try to get
it
smells like it could be.
It could. The collusion is colluded, however you want to say it. Convoluted because it's right. So this is a cloudy situation here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, we know that the owners have talked and said they do not want to give a guaranteed contract. That is one thing. We get it. They might have discussed that as the case. But You might have, but you also have the fact that given that guaranteed contract, what do you have to sacrifice? Oh, on top of having to give up 2 first-round picks, also, what else do you have to sacrifice when it comes to your roster? Who would you have to release? Who would you like? Things of that nature to free up that particular cap space to pay him. That's an obstacle. Oh, what if we make all these moves to create that cap space and then Baltimore matches? Oh man, we just did all that for nothing. Now we don't even have them. I personally think I think we might start seeing some things happen after the draft. I think teams will want to draft their picks this year.
Right.
And then once they do that, decide to make that decision, it will be draft picks for 24 and 25. Yeah. So I think it's still early. I think a lot of people are getting impatient and not really being realistic about this whole thing. Like, I mean, granted, everyone's first rebuttal is, well, Deshaun Watson got it. And then on the flip side, they counter it with the Cleveland Browns is the dumbest franchise in the world in the history of the NFL. So you're going to tell me, I'm a businessman. I'm a smart businessman. But because that dumb franchise decided to do it, you're going to tell me I'm supposed to do it? No, it doesn't work like that. Like, I'm watching all these shows and everybody like, that's the market. That's the market.
No, it's not the market.
No, clearly it's not. Like, the Cleveland Browns were desperate because guess what? This is what no one else is failing to say. If the Cleveland Browns, let's say the Deshaun Watson situation was happening now, would they have gave Deshaun that money, or would they have tried to get Lamar and give him that money?
Yeah, probably Lamar.
It would probably be Lamar. It has nothing to do with the player. It has everything to do with the team. They were desperate for a quarterback. and in this case with Lamar, unfortunately, Lamar, these teams are just not desperate enough to put all that on the line. Like, the Browns did all that. They had an amazing roster a few years ago.
Right.
Look at that roster now. It's slowly, it's still good, but it's slowly
dipping,
going down slowly. Like, good thing they got Amari Cooper for what they did, because and pretty soon he gonna want an extension,
or he gonna get older.
I think it's a lot that goes into it, man, and I think these owners, I think it's just more than collusion. I think it's a lot more to it. Yeah, they could have very well got together and said they're not with the whole guaranteed contract thing, but it's also other variables to this that make it hard for these other owners to sign him to that type of contract.
I think they had to have talked on this, because if they didn't, one team would have gone on it and pulled the trigger on this.
But who?
You say that so casually, but you got to factor in everything.
That's what happens. That's what happens in a free market.
But who?
I don't know who that team is. I can't tell you who the team is. I'm just telling you that it would have happened.
I mean,
but how? You're not saying how it would have happened. You're just saying
one team would have ponied up and made it happen, just like they made it happen for Deshaun. There would be one dumb team that would do it.
It just so happened to be the dumbest team.
The team already did it.
I'm just saying,
you're right.
Somebody would have done it already.
But here's the thing. That dumb team
always
did it.
It has always happened. That's the way things work in free agency.
Look, okay, so by your estimation, then what Mike Ditka did with the Saints, how come somebody else hasn't done that since then? But here's my point.
It happened.
Right. And here's my point to that. It happened, and no one else has done that shit since.
That was stupid.
Yes,
This
same thing.
necessarily isn't all that stupid.
No, but it kind of is.
It's not as bad as trading your entire draft for one player.
It's not as bad, but it's still bad because it can set your franchise back for an extremely long time. Because here's the other thing you got to throw in: Lamar for the last 2 seasons hasn't finished, and this guy wants guaranteed contract money. And I'm not going to have to give up, like Smoke said, not just 2 first-round picks, but I'm going to have to clear space, which means I'm giving up possibly players who make money, who are good players.
Do we know that he couldn't have played at the end of the season?
What we do know is he did not.
That doesn't mean he couldn't have. He couldn't have.
I'm not saying that he couldn't have. We know that he did not, and we're talking guaranteed money. That makes a difference. And so, yes, to your point is, have the owners talked? I would say it's not something that they necessarily talked about right now, but it's something
they talked.
But it's something that's always.
They just didn't put it on paper. You can't find it on paper, so you'll never be able to fully.
I'd say it's something that's always been the worst kept secret or known, that the NFL, not as a whole, does not want to give guaranteed.
You'll never be able to fully prove it, but it happened. The talk happened.
But what I'm saying is, it's an established fact that the owners don't. Basketball has it. Baseball has it.
There's a Zoom or Teams out there that has the recording. We just don't have access to it.
But football does not want to give up guaranteed contracts.
True.
Is it Rich Bisaccia? Is that the Ravens? Bisaccia, is that?
Yeah.
The Ravens
the
GM, owner.
Yeah.
Mm.
He came out publicly after Deshaun Watson signed his deal
And said that was dumb.
said that was dumb. He came out publicly and said that.
He said it. I'm saying one other team. I don't know who the team is.
It's only one.
Arizona signed Kyler Murray to all that money for no reason.
But
a lot of money, but not
though.
guaranteed.
Not fully guaranteed.
It's not fully guaranteed, but he's guaranteed a bunch of it though.
But that's the hang up, fully guaranteed. And what what Lamar is asking for is fully guaranteed. Like there's probably an amount that they would guarantee up to, but he's like, no, I want more, because he's seeing if Deshaun got it, I want it. We're looking right now. We see right now the Jets and the Packers are having a hard time to figure out how to get the compensation for Aaron Rodgers, because it's going to involve maybe more than 1 first-round pick, and the Jets are like, I don't think so. But everybody knows it's got to get done eventually, so no one's rushing on it. But it still has a bit of a hang-up, and the Jets were trying to clear space so they can have enough money to get Aaron Rodgers.
The Packers want 2 first-round picks for Rodgers?
They've talked about that, yes.
They want a first-round pick for sure.
I would get a first-round pick. I would.
Yes, right, exactly.
Not more than that.
Sure, of course not. But what I'm saying is, that's what's happening, and we all know that, and they know that. But the Packers are like, well, we still got him under contract. You act like you want him. So if someone's trying to play, pin the tail on the donkey or chicken or whatever you want to call it. But if that, and there's nowhere near the amount of money, or compensation tied into Rodgers as it would be tied into Lamar. I'm just saying, it's like, it smells like it could be collusion, but there's a lot of other, shifting, shells here in this game because of all the things that it can do to your franchise just to be able to get him.
And that's my thing. My thing for the people, for the masses, for us outsiders. Do we want Lamar to get paid, or do we want Lamar to win?
Both.
And unfortunately, I think more people would rather the just get paid part, because everyone just seems to think, first off, let's give the organization he's with some credit, that they are a very well-run organization. Baltimore has been very well run. So to attribute the fact that Baltimore has been successful over this time period with Lamar Jackson is strictly because they have Lamar Jackson is kind of far-fetched. And to expect that he can go to any other franchise, let's throw one out there. Let's say he goes to the Falcons. Let's say, and just to say he's going to go there, drop into their world, and all of a sudden, voila, magic. That's
No.
hard to believe with the things they will have to give up, move around, and the fact that they probably wouldn't be able to bring in him much help. And all we continue to seem to talk about around the world is the fact the lack of help that Lamar Jackson
That's kind
has.
of in place actually for the Falcons. They got Pitts and they got London. So he actually has a little bit. He'll have he'll have a better tight end athletically.
He'll have it. He'll have it
pass
for the
receiving
time
wise.
being. He'll have it for the time being.
Right. But when it comes time to pay them, well, they have the money to do it.
What would you be able to do? So
well, remember the cap is going to be steadily going up.
Not saying it's not, but you got to pay other people if you want to win.
But I'm saying there's going to be ample money there. The latest media deal, which comes into play this year, is it's silly money. So the money's going to be there.
Like I said, we'll see after the draft is when I think we will see some things moving.
I'll buy that. I'll buy that for $1.
I think that's when we'll see some movement.
We'll see, and I'm still going to continue my investigation for collusion. That's just me. Hey, let's move on. The tournaments that are going on right now. You got the NCAA tournament going on here. Mm-hmm. You got the WBC just ended.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Smoke, I saw you. By the way, Smoke is one of my favorite social media follows out there. Man, you were big on the WBC this year, man.
I got locked in, man. It was some good baseball.
Yeah.
It was some really good baseball. It wasn't the hot dogging and all that. You hear in the crowds, like it was exciting. Mm-hmm. It wasn't the quiet baseball. Like, no, the stadiums they were in, the fans were loud and rowdy. The game was played the right way. Well, I mean, guys are hustling, trying to beat out base hits, trying to beat out ground balls. Like, it was just good baseball. It wasn't what we see on the regular when it comes to Major League Baseball in a 162 game season. Like, where guys hit a ground ball and they barely take 2 steps out the box. Like, no, like guys were really playing when it, had some on the line, and I was locked in. It was, like I said, it was really good. You could tell, like you said, stakes. People were playing for something. Mm-hmm. You can tell, like pride was on the line here. And when you get people playing like that, no matter the sport, you're going to get a very good product. No one was worried about money.
Right.
They were worried about trying to get a win. Unfortunately, Diaz from the Mets, his season is cooked by celebrating too hard.
He had a Grammatica.
Had a Kendrick Morales type moment. But other than that, man, it was really, really good baseball, man. Really good baseball.
That's cool. Honestly, I got to tell you, I didn't watch an inning. But I heard it was good.
Well,
everyone I talked to that watched it, they said it was a good time, and it's a real win for all the baseball.
Yeah. MLB has to figure out a way to, but the season just too long to get that type of energy for the whole season.
That's why you shorten the season. 142.
Oof.
142.
Oof. That's still a lot of games.
It is, but you know what? You're not going to get, they're not going to contract any of the season. I think that would be fine. I honestly, and I've said this before on here, I thought the COVID season sprint was one of the most awesome seasons of baseball I ever experienced, man. It was just all, everybody was all in. They knew that, hey, we got to win right now. No lollygagging here.
Everybody had a chance.
It's no time. Right.
Everybody had a chance because the season was so short.
And as soon as the season started, I mean, everybody was in full gear, and it was just a fun season. I think if you take some games away, you get closer to that point. 162 was just too damn long for me. That's just me. And then the NCAA tournament, man. I gotta say once again, for this to be man, I'm a sports enthusiast. I didn't watch any college basketball this season outside of the Loyola women's team. Go Ramblers!
My second, I watched one college basketball game from start to finish this year, and that was the HBCU game during All-Star Weekend.
Right. Grambling and Southern, and only reason why he watched that is because he's a Grambling alum, and they were on national TV.
Who are you guys? I thought you think you know people. You just
you didn't watch none either.
Shut your mouth! I did.
Wait. You did. Wait. You might have watched a couple of Cincinnati games.
Yeah, keep going. I watched my Volunteers.
You did not.
Are you kidding me? Dude, they've been ranked all year. What are you talking about?
They did just beat Duke.
I watched.
They did.
Yes, they did. I watched them Volunteers. I watched some of the other team. Now, yes, I don't. I will say this in all fairness and being candid, I did not watch college basketball like I did in the 80s and the 90s.
Yes,
because the guys don't stay like they used to, and the talent is beyond watered down. It's like it's so sparse. It's not even funny. And I don't even know who these kids are. They come and go, and the ones that stay,
but it's even worse now because even though they don't stay long, you still knew they still had a way of promoting those one and done talents. Now a lot of those run and done talents are not even going to college; they're going to the little G League thing, right, and all that stuff. So, like, I don't even know who the top freshman was in the country this year.
I couldn't tell you.
I'll do you one better. I don't even know who the coaches are anymore. Because I'm like, who? What? Like, there's a whole big exchange recently in the Big East, and I'm like, what's the Big East again? I forgot because that just changed. Ain't what it used to be. But St. John's just went ahead and got a 95-year-old Rick Pitino. I'm like, okay, I know him. Boeheim just retired. He's 102, so he just retired.
He retired. They forced him out.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, quote unquote. So
they forced him out.
So I knew him. And then the guy that took over at Georgetown, apparently he's been in Providence for 12 years. I didn't know that. So
Ed Cooley's a coach, man.
I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying I didn't know it was because he's at Providence. How often do you watch a Providence game? And now he's at Georgetown, right? And now he's at Georgetown, which was a good hire by all people's standards. So it's like, dude, I don't even know who these coaches are. They come and go, and they don't even stay long. So, it's not what it used to be, but that one shining moment still seems to resonate when it comes around this time of year. It still has that magic. Somehow it still retains
the
that magic.
NCAA tournament is the best tournament in sports.
Yeah,
can't argue. To me. I know some people will say the World Cup. Okay, if you like that thing, that's cool. For me, it's the NCAA tournament, and I from opening tip on Thursday, I've been all in. Some people do say the World Cup is the best tournament out there. It's not me. Yeah, I don't like kickball.
That final. I ain't gonna lie, that World Cup final was really good this year, but outside of that, no way. But yeah, I didn't watch college basketball at all this year, and I'm not shocked. And I'm not shocked by what's taking place in the tournament this year because I felt like every time I looked up, top teams were getting beat during the regular season, and I'm like, funny as it is. I mean, Grambling won over 20 games this year and actually beat a few Power Fives. That told me all I needed to know. College basketball.
Except for the one that I put money on them. Who was that against Virginia, I think. Thanks a lot, Grambling.
Who lost to Furman.
To Furman.
Right.
Jesus.
So, but I'm like, a lot of, you look at some of these schools now, man, you got guys that are 25 years old playing college basketball. Man. It's getting
I wild. Saw somebody tweeted out, is there an age limit in college basketball? The 30-year-olds running around.
Man.
But look at it, man. You got no Kansas. You got, I think, did Baylor lose as well?
Baylor lost.
So last two national champions are out.
are out.
No North Carolina. They didn't even make the
They
tournament.
didn't
They
make
didn't
it.
even make the tournament.
Duke is gone.
As Duke, by the way,
Arizona.
your volunteers, man. I mean, they just manhandled Duke.
Duke.
They were like
They-
grown men
They did. You know,
against boys.
you're right. It looked like that. It really
Yeah.
did.
They probably was. They
and it
probably
probably
all been at school for years.
I remember one of those dudes when I was there. So yeah, I think
Wow.
you're right. But yeah, man. So
Kentucky out.
Kentucky's out.
Kentucky.
I mean, I think
Arizona
all the big
lost
Arizona.
to Princeton.
I think outside of Michigan State,
Princeton.
Princeton's in Sweet 16. Outside of Michigan State, I think all the Big Ten teams would go. Did Indiana win?
No, they lost.
Nope.
They
Yeah,
lost
so
to Miami.
So out of all the Big Ten teams, only Michigan State's available. I think out of the SEC schools, you got three: Alabama, Arkansas, and Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
I think all the ACC schools are gone, right?
No,
Miami's still
Miami.
still in it.
Okay,
Yeah.
so Miami, the one you least expected to be there is still in there. So yeah, it's really interesting. And you got, was it Florida A&U is up there, and
Florida Atlantic.
FAU,
and
Gonzaga.
Well,
I'm rooting for the Zags this year, man. If
They're
going to win a national
they're
championship,
about to lose to UCLA.
this
I gotta root for UCLA.
My man
Chicago
Drew Timmy,
kid.
which, by the way, I think he's probably the only
he's 35
college basketball.
Probably
He's
30.
pretty old. My wife said, "Man, he looks really old."
But this is
guy?
what they said of the Sweet 16 teams. They said it is. Did they say 11 conferences represented?
Yeah,
most conferences. Yeah,
that's wild.
That's awesome in a lot of ways, but it is also an indictment.
Yeah, well, it tells you. Yeah. Well, you know what? Is it an indictment or is it that?
It is. No, it is.
There's parity in college basketball now.
No, there's no.
No, that it's telling you the top talent is not there.
Right.
The top talent is not there.
Right.
But that is true. But I'm saying though, because of that, and I think this goes to AAU, that all these kids see each other. So it's they aren't. FDU isn't afraid to go up against a Purdue.
Well, they're not afraid because they probably 6-7 years older. It's not that they're seeing each other. These guys have been in school longer. And these schools that's getting quote unquote one and done talent, these guys aren't the true one and done talent anymore. The true one and done talent isn't going to school.
Yeah.
They're going to G League Ignite or whatever that is. And and the international game is
real.
Is taken over.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
who was I listening to?
Some got shape.
They were saying that that the majority of the top technicians going to the NBA, the majority of the quote unquote up and coming superstars are international players.
Yeah,
I mean,
they aren't Americans. Well, I'm talking about guys that are in the league now.
Oh yeah, I mean, Giannis is still young.
Yeah.
Luka.
Yep.
Jokic. Embiid.
Yeah.
Who else? I mean, them like 4 of the top 5, maybe.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a Canadian and Australian running around that play. Oh, Finland, the finisher. Markin is finally playing good.
Yeah.
I mean, really, he's
I'm with you.
You're right.
I'm shaking my head because we messed that up.
We didn't mess it up.
No, he was messed up when he was here.
Right. We didn't mess it up.
No, the Bulls did mess it up.
We didn't mess
Boylan.
That up.
That goes to Jim Boylan.
He messed no, dude, because he's at Cleveland and was like just okay as well. So no.
It took him
to get the Boylan purge
to get
out.
all that out of his system.
Look, man, he looked like Tarzan when he was here and was playing like Jane. So I don't buy all that. But yeah, I mean, and let's not, at least we forget the continent of Africa is really starting to get a lot of basketball talent coming through the various countries there. And that's a tapping ground that I'm sure a lot of people are looking to go into mine. So, but yeah, that being said, the tournament, like you said, it's still something about it still resonates, still has something magical about it. You still get game-winning shots. You still get a player who you didn't expect to be the star of the tournament turns into the star of the tournament, and then you can look forward to him, a la Ja Morant, going to the or Steph Curry type going to the pros, and even the women's game really is picking up. The woman from young lady from Iowa has been clowning, Caitlin something, I can't remember her
Caitlin
last.
Clark.
Yeah,
Caitlin
man.
Clark.
And she talking, dude.
She's good, man.
She's good, and she's talking talk stuff
Yeah,
too.
you got
I gotta
The sister from
Reese.
LSU. Yeah.
Reese
When
from
we-
LSU.
Yep.
when we get off, I got a story to tell about her. I can't share it here. I'll tell you guys in a bit.
Okay. Yeah, the sister from LSU who's putting up double doubles like it's nothing. The whole team of South Carolina, and then the head coach. She's Dawn Staley's getting her. She's in commercials now to show you that the
Oh yeah, they got
game.
you saw the Under Armour commercials.
Yeah.
She was repping Cheney State.
Cheney State.
And she even gave a shout out. They played Norfolk State in the first
Yes.
round. And she came out. She went and congratulated them after the game because they actually gave them a decent game.
Right.
And
lost by what, 20?
yeah, but I mean, it
40.
was they Norfolk
They
State played
hung
with
in there.
heart.
Right.
And she came out and said, "Hey, Norfolk State is not a 16 seed team. That seeding was wrong." Which they probably were right, but it's just because they're an HBCU that they automatically drop them down. That's just the way it is, man. But yeah, man, the tournament. I'm telling you, the best thing around. And my bracket is busted because I had Arizona and Kansas in the championship game.
Yeah, I would have had Kansas back too.
Not happening.
I did a bunch.
I didn't even do one.
And speaking of tournaments, you forgot to mention NIT, and I'm gonna throw a shout out to my nephew. Go Bearcats! They're as far as I know, they're still competing in that. I think they have a game against Utah Valley, I think, and if they can beat Utah Valley, they'll be in the NIT Final Four, which is being held in Las Vegas this year.
I saw that. Let me ask you this: would you rather? Yeah, and this going in. Would you rather be a one and done in the NCAA tournament, or know that you're going to at least get to the Final Four of the NIT?
All depends on what my school name is. If I'm Oral Roberts, I probably wouldn't mind going to. I don't know. It's a tough one. I guess it doesn't really matter.
That's something to think about because
recruiting wise,
all in all, it's an experience.
Right.
That's all in all, it's an experience.
And I was a little surprised that North Carolina, they didn't make the tournament.
And that's why I said
they turned down the NIT bid.
But most of them guys were in the national championship last year.
Yeah.
So what is an NIT bid gonna do for us?
You extend your season for another
couple
of weeks.
But that's what goes into what Glenn was saying. You have visions of playing in the tournament.
True that.
Not in the NIT. So if I didn't make the tournament, I don't want to play no more. Time for me to go ahead and get my training in. If I'm going to the next level, I'm preparing for that. If I'm not, I'm training for next season.
Right, because here's the thing. Like you said, attitudinally speaking, I'm North Carolina, and especially North Carolina, as a case in point here. Some of us won the national championship game last year. NIT, what's that going to do for me? You're not going to play well, and then you look even worse in NIT because you're probably going to lose. It's like those teams.
You say, "Hey, let's play for some pride here."
And what if you still lose?
Well, that's the chance you take.
That's why you just don't take the chance.
That's why you don't take right there, man.
No, well, I think if you're an established program in North Carolina, it doesn't help your recruiting.
And I know this is high school, but I know for certain when Frank Linty was at Mount Carmel and they got eliminated from the state playoffs early, they always took that Prep Bowl bid. And I know that a couple years ago, I think like St. Ignatius or somebody, they got an early exit and they turned down the Prep Bowl bid. That no, you keep playing. It's like you still got a season to go. You don't want that. I wouldn't want that season to end. If I'm a senior, I want to keep that experience going for as long as I can. That's just me.
Yeah, I mean, that is a question that will be answered differently by every other person, and it's a great thing. I think ultimately, like you said, if I get a chance to keep competing, I like to keep competing. But then again, maybe they're tired. You're like, you know what? We ain't playing for nothing, really. Save my body for next year, save my body for the pro. I mean, people have different agendas, and that factors into it as well. But if you're Cincinnati, I think you're happy because you won 21 games, but you didn't get a chance to go to the tournament. So you take the NIT, it still helps you recruiting. I mean, you're going into the Big 12 next year. You get a chance to be in the Final Four. It sounds better than our season ended and we didn't play after the conference championships.
Yeah. But this is what I feel like all this BS how they treat a certain group of schools. Grambling, of course, they lost in the SWAC championship game. They were the co-SWAC regular season champions, had over 20 wins, and didn't get an NIT invite.
What was the tiebreaker? Because if you win your regular season title, you get an automatic NIT bid. So what was
so Alcorn got the.
So they must have won the tiebreaker.
They probably should have still got a bid. Alcorn lost in the first game of the tournament, of the SWAC tournament.
The SWAC tournament,
yeah. But I mean, but yeah, like for certain schools, you would like that would be big for Grambling had they.
Absolutely, yeah. We went to the
at large bid, not a.
Wait, we didn't get an at large, but Hampton, we got an NIT bid a few years ago, and we got the banner, the NIT banner up. So I think it's a big deal for a certain because obviously North Carolina may not be that big of a deal, but hey, I just thought it would have been worth extending the season. That's all. Last thing before we get out of here, man, the Bulls traded for signed Pat Bev, and I think the Pat Bev effect has gone
into effect.
Gone into effect, yeah. That's what I didn't want to use effect so many times. Effect. But yeah, the 8-4. With Pat Bev in the lineup, they look like a team that's playing with a little heart right now.
And
that cares.
I'll say this, and granted, I haven't been watching much of the Bulls. I've been doing a lot of box score watching. I'll tell you one person that it appears to look like Pat Bev has had an effect on, and that's Sir Zachary Levine.
He said that was going to happen.
Look, and what confirmed, because like I said, I haven't really been watching, but like I've been checking the box scores, and I ain't want to be that person that's like he got great numbers, so obviously he playing well, but it's a guy that I went to high school with who hates Zach Levine's guts. He swears he ain't worth max player. He's been. Oh shoot, Zach Levine been playing like a max player since Pat Bev got it. So I'm like, okay, so it ain't just what I've been seeing on the box scores. It's actually been going in game, So I said it. I said we need the personality, man. We needed a shake up. And I mean, granted, we ain't gonna make no noise in the playoffs. We know that, but we're gonna be in the play-in. We're gonna have to play the Boston or
here's the deal, man.
Milwaukee.
You're only what I think a game or two out of the eighth spot.
Eighth spot, yeah.
But
they're not gonna catch. They're not gonna catch.
We're gonna be in the play-in.
They're not gonna catch the sixth spot because I think they only got 11 games left.
Yeah, we're not even close to that.
Yeah. But you can get to the 8, and then you only have to win one game in the
but
in the
that's what I'm
playing
saying.
tournament.
We win in the play, and we either 7 or 8
Yeah,
seed,
and then you get
we got to
Milwaukee.
play Milwaukee or Boston. Like it's
but
or
here's the
Philly.
thing. Here's the thing. Several things, but here's the thing. First off, all year long, as weird as this year's been, the good teams we've been beating and beating them more than once. So you get in the playoffs, you're playing good teams. So I'm saying there's a chance. The other thing is with the Pat Bev effect and how he's affecting the team. See what I did there?
I see you went from E to A.
Yes, I did.
I see.
What he's been doing, the Bulls have been suffering mightily since Ball went down. And Ball being a true point guard, everybody fell into place as to their roles and what they can do and how the ball is being facilitated, the spacing on the floor, both offensively and defensively, and the communication. All those things Pat Bev's presence has brought. Now, he's not the point guard that Ball is. He's decent as a ball handler. He's not great, but as a point guard, playing with a point guard's mentality and a selfless mentality, he's not getting in the way of scoring for DeRozan or Zach, but he can help facilitate. The spacing on the floor is way better offensively, and guys are moving, and you're seeing bounce passes being as guys are cutting to the hole for layups. Okay. Defensively, the communication's there. You know, we've been seeing it on the floor where even, you know, when Pat second game here or whatever, him and Vooch got into a little bit, you know, but we're seeing it.
By the way, Pat was right.
Pat was right, you know, but we're seeing the communication. The other thing is, like you pointed out, to attitudinally, you know, swagger. You know, we would have lost that game against Miami, you know, having a 25-point lead and come back, we would have lost that game. We were able to stop it at 3 and build it back up though, but we would have lost that game prior to. So it's all those things, and you're bringing a Chicago tough mentality to the Chicago team because that guy's true West Side, and it's a type of energy that is helping. And it also helps because you see Caruso can't stay healthy, but Pat Bev still gives you that defensive mentality and attack dog mentality that when Caruso is not available, there's not that much of a drop off. But when he is available, we're that much more better in terms of a team defensively, and again, the spacing and what have you. And he's shown that you have to at least respect his ability to hit an outside shot, something Sumo is inconsistent with. Right. And Pat Bev, and the other thing, Pat Bev's not going to defer necessarily in a differential way. He'll do it in a facilitating way, but not in a differential way. Like the Sumo's not going to tell DeRozan, give me the ball. He's just not. Yeah. Pat can do that. Pat will get that ball. Pat will get that respect, that veteran respect out there. So, and it's just been phenomenal, man. So it's really been enjoyable the last several weeks.
Yeah. And teams ain't able to just push us around right now because they know one thing that fool gonna do. He gonna fight.
Right. I mean, look at some of the lineups we have. We're undersized, but we're still holding our own.
Yes, you know. So, and yeah,
and Pat effect. Pat Will is playing a lot better too. By the way, by better I mean more consistently. Now he was showing some
bench though.
Yeah,
because the bench, second unit, he's able to be the best player on the floor.
Yeah,
it works. Like I'm telling you, it's been the makeup of the team that has hindered his development because you got him on the floor with 2 ball dominant guys. Like now he's coming off the bench, playing with that second unit. He's playing a bit more freer, you know. So
but keep in mind, late in the game, sometimes we're seeing him out there too because he's defensively, he's that guy that can cause problems for the other team. So yeah, Billy and Pat Bev is helping the coach better. Because having just him in that position helps make other people be slotted in areas where they can be that much more effective and more efficient. And you know, hence the Pat Bev effect, man. It's just a real deal. It's true. It's authentic. It's happening.
At home, Wednesday against Philly, and then they go out west, Portland, Lakers, Clippers.
Yeah, not easy.
So not at all. Not at all. And then the Lakers again at home next Wednesday. So, yeah, nice little stretch there.
Those the revenge games.
Yeah.
Pat Bev Revenge game.
Yeah, Pat Bev Revenge Tour is in effect.
So yeah, should be a good weekend of basketball here. That Portland game, I want to see a dub there out in Portland against Dame. That's going to do it for this week's edition of the Easy Smoke and the GM podcast. We want to thank you for listening. We greatly appreciate it. You can catch our podcast at Apple Podcasts, Google, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. You can also catch us at hp53productions.com. There you'll find a link to our podcast and the Super Duper podcast hosted by Rob Griggs and the Father Good podcast hosted by Marshall Givens and Kenny Stevenson. Yo, Glenn.
Yep.
Please take us out.
Hey, it's like we always say. We ain't saying we right, but we sure as hell ain't Jalen Carter wrong. We ain't dogging it.
Ooh. See you next week. We'll be right back.